This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. And today I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful Lara Duncan from Lara Duncan Glass. Lara, thank you so much for being involved in the Shine On You Crazy Daisy book and podcast. Please tell us about your business.
Hello, and thank you, Trudy. My name is Lara from Lara Duncan Glass. I fuse glass. I make everything possible in glass. That could be your kitchen splashback, or that might be jewelry, and pretty much everything in between.
Excellent, thank you. The wonder of reading your chapter was that you started working for a secret millionaire.
I know.
How did that come about, and what did you love about it?
Well, do you know what? I didn't know that I was working for a secret millionaire. Obviously, if you read the chapter, you see that I applied for a little job. It was one of those tiny adverts that you see in a regional newspaper back in the day, where you used to get a job from an ad in a newspaper and not online. And I had been working for her for some time before she announced that she had done one of these, had become one of these secret millionaires that was going to be on telly. Just generally, I was a bit gobsmacked, really, but it didn't surprise me because this particular lady came from a very, very, very working class background and a very traditional background. And she was phenomenal with the business that she did and the work that she did, and she worked very, very hard, and she got the rewards. She and the best thing working for her was the people that I met were just their thoughts were completely different to anybody else that I had met. The way that they approached business was very, very different, and started me on a path of thinking differently about business.
That is the wonder, isn't it? You can be put in front of 15 different people and take bits from each of them of how you want to run your business. But it's like networking. It's putting yourself out there to surround yourself with people that do think differently, so that you can see outside the box that you may have put yourself in.
Yeah, and definitely they didn't waste their time with people who really, it sounds awful to say, but that weren't sort of doing something positive for themselves. So they were very interested in people who equally weren't making lots of money, as long as you were doing it for yourself and for the right reasons, and you were moving forward with your life. They were wonderful people, this whole group of entrepreneurs that I had at my fingertips.
How old were you at this point?
I was 35.
Okay, what an incredible introduction to being around entrepreneurs as well. And then you started your own business.
Yes, and certainly, I had, previous to that, I'd always had the job, the just over broke, as it's called, just over broke, because that's where people want to keep you. So you come to work every day, and it was astounding because I had lived a very hand-to-mouth existence up till that point, and was quite nervous about going self-employed, and thought I wouldn't be able to cope, and oh my goodness, what about tax? And you find that people help you, but also you pay people to do the things that you can't do. You pay the accountant, you pay someone to do the things that they're good at, and you keep the things that you're good at because you earn more money doing the things you're good at. And
you then grew quite a big successful business yourself.
Yes.
What was that in, and what?
It was in administration based. The company was contracting to a number of larger companies, in working in property investment. So training how to invest in property safely and sensibly. The companies would run various seminars, and then I ran a help desk. On property, and all the things that they were learning in the classes, if they didn't have the right notes or they'd forgotten things, they would ring up myself and my team, and we would talk them through situations. We never gave financial advice, but we always had a list of people they could go to for various different services that they might need. And then working on a huge spreadsheet of mentors that they could then book in and work with on a one-to-one basis. And so I had this very big, large spreadsheet of diary dates and things and juggling. So yes, yeah.
What made you step back from that business then and grow your glass fusing more?
Well, one of the main companies went into administration in 2019, and I sort of had seen it coming, and because there had been ups and downs over the 18 or so years that I'd worked with these couple of different companies, I'd seen things were happening, and sometimes you think, oh, is this it? Oh, and then they would be okay, and you'd carry on. But they went into administration, and I had already a very small glass business because I could afford to learn glass making, it was my hobby and my passion away from day-to-day work. And I just decided that, at 53, well, I suppose I wasn't 53 at that point in time, but I was 52, 51, I don't know how old I was. But, I wasn't anybody's idea of the perfect employee. I worked for myself, which is always very hard to put on your CV, and then you go off and get a job. And actually, I didn't want a job. I didn't want to be that person that's being told what to do, because I had a bucket full of experience, and I would always know a better way to do it than the person employing me. Because that's what happens, isn't it? You get experience.
I didn't realize that it was so recent a time that you had changed from having quite a substantial business of managing a lot of people to your glass fusing and glass making being your full-time job.
Yeah, it's my full-time, part-time. It's supposed to be part-time, but it's all consuming, because that's when it's your hobby as well and something you enjoy. I don't enjoy the administration part of it quite as much, but the actual making is like, well, it's almost like your dream job, and I love what I do, and but it's all consuming. So
over these last few years, how has your resilience been tested, and what have you learned?
Well, my resilience has really been tested because I turned 50 in 2018. I had a new husband. We were having a wonderful life. We went off to Hawaii for my 50th birthday, because you have the Hawaii 5-0. My husband had a month off of work, and we had this enormous trip. Came home, moved to a rented house because we were going to move into a brand new dream home. And my brother died. He died 6 days after we moved house. So having to cope with that was, my brother's only 18 months older than me. Nobody expects someone to die so young. So that was very, very testing. I didn't really work properly after that. My team pretty much stepped up and took over everything. Then the business went down, and we just moved to the dream home. And then, so when I decided that I was going to be the glass artist of the year, and put myself out there as a full-time glass artist, then the pandemic hit, and it was just the hits just kept coming, and it was it's been quite tough. But do you know what? You just have to keep going. Things happen, rubbish things happen in life to everybody, but you have to keep going and moving forward, because what else are you going to do? You can cry. Yeah, had lots of tears over the past 3 years, because it's been nearly 3 years, for various different reasons. But do you know what? You just have to get back up, get on that horse, and you have to keep going, because what else are you going to do? Because no one else is going to do it for you.
I think this is the really hard thing and the rub in being an entrepreneur is we get told about not pushing and not beating ourselves up and looking after ourselves. But at the same time, if you sit and wallow in whatever's going on, however big it is, then your business suffers.
Yeah.
So it's a really fine line in talking about all that stuff and saying, get on with it, absolutely, but you've got to look after yourself at the same time. You know, there's so much to think about on any given day.
Definitely. I mean, the idea is that I'm part-time, and I think but I'm not part-time, it's pretty much full-time. But because I enjoy it, it's not you know, too onerous.
Yeah.
But you know, I do make time. We do have holidays, and we do go away, and we do have enjoy life. And you know, if there's a day when I'm not feeling well, or I'm not feeling up to it, I just don't do anything, because you know, I haven't got to ring in sick to anybody. I haven't got to make up a story if I don't want to go to work. But then I'll maybe work a Saturday or a Sunday, you know. And but you do have to look after yourself. It's important to look after yourself.
If there was one lesson you'd want other entrepreneurs to know, what would it be?
Excuse me. Failure is not an embarrassment. Mm-hmm. Things go wrong, and you learn, and you continuously learn. Mm-hmm. And when things go wrong, so what? As long as you learn something from that experience, because I think when people see things going wrong, they think, oh, that's rubbish, I can't do that, it went wrong, I'll give up. Well, don't give up, just learn from what happened, and you know, you go, well, okay, I'll do it differently, or I'll do it a different way. Yeah, things go wrong for everybody, but you just can't, just learn. I guess that's the biggest thing.
Reflection is a wonderful thing, isn't it? When you get in hindsight, being able to look back on something, when you're stuck in that feeling of failure, then it's hard to see these things. But we do learn from everything that we
do.
How many failures I've had.
And every time I open the kiln, I think, oh, not every time, because obviously it's not every time. But if I open the kiln and things have gone wrong, I go, oh, why did that go wrong? And then you go, well, because this happened, and you need to remember this, and you didn't do that, or that's a new thing that's happened, and you weren't expecting that to happen. So, you know, initially sometimes things are disappointing, but you just have to look back, reflect. What did I learn from that?
What's your favorite business book?
Oh, it would have to be Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Mm-hmm. And it is a very strong business book, and it teaches you about assets and liabilities. And the premise of the book is Robert had a rich dad and a poor dad, and his rich dad was actually his friend's father, because he learned about assets, and things had to, you didn't just go and buy things. You know, if you wanted, and I found this very much from the entrepreneurs that I work with, that if you want something, that's great. And if you've got the money, you can buy it, but it has to be something that works for you. So if you want a new jet ski, fine. Who doesn't want a jet ski? But that jet ski, you either have to earn the money specifically for that jet ski, or you have to find out how that jet ski is going to work for you. And that is the premise of the book, about lessons in life, about not just going off and buying stuff. You know, it's got to have a real reason, and it's got to work for you.
Yeah, I love that. Money purpose. I love talking about that. If you want something, work for it. Go and get it. Don't let anything get in your way.
You're frozen on me, Trudy.
Oh, here I am.
Just for a second.
Mate, Lara, thank you so much for being involved in the book and the podcast, and take care of yourself.
I will do, and you do too, Trudy, and you know, we'll just keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books Shine On You Crazy Daisy and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.